Coronation Street teases that the undercurrents of grief, guilt, and betrayal are about to rise to the surface, as two women, bound by love and fractured by secrets, confront a shared past that refuses to remain buried. The death of Craig sets the stage for a tale of hidden agendas, emotional unraveling, and a desperate search for truth that will shake the very foundation of Lisa and Carla's bond. The rain had barely stopped the day Craig was buried, and Lisa stood at the edge of the cemetery, with her coat clutched tightly around her. Her fingers were cold, her thoughts colder. She had spoken only a handful of words during the ceremony, but her silence had been loud enough for Carla to hear from across the crowd. Something had shifted in Lisa. Something deep, something dangerous. Craig's death had hit Lisa harder than she'd expected, not because they were particularly close, but because it tore open a wound she had tried so desperately to forget. Becky. The name lingered at the back of her mind like a ghost. The way Craig died, under mysterious circumstances linked to a corruption case, mirrored too closely the strange and painful details surrounding Becky's own passing. Lisa had never found peace. She had only learned to mask the pain behind sharp wit and even sharper detachment. But now, the mask was cracking. Carla noticed the change in Lisa's behavior almost immediately. The late nights, the vacant stares, the impulsive anger, it all told a story that Lisa refused to speak aloud. One night, over lukewarm coffee in the underworld break room, Carla broached the topic. "You've been drifting lately," Carla said, her voice soft but steady. "Is this about Craig? Or is it about Becky?" Lisa didn't deny it. Her shoulders dropped, her eyes flickered. "I see her everywhere lately. Every crime scene, every closed case file, it's like she's still asking me to look for answers." Carla reached across the table. "Maybe it's time you spoke to someone. A therapist, someone trained to help you through this." Lisa gave a hollow smile. "I don't need therapy. I need the truth." The next morning, Lisa told Carla she had a session booked. But instead of walking into a therapist's office, she walked through the doors of the inspector's bureau. Her ID barely cleared her access, and the receptionist gave her a sideways glance, but Lisa was already in too deep. She needed to know if Craig's death was connected to Becky's. She needed to dig. Meanwhile, Carla couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Lisa hadn't seemed lighter since she started therapy. If anything, she seemed heavier, more secretive. Carla's concern pushed her into action. She began her own search, reaching into the corners of her past and calling in favors. That trail led her to Logan. Logan had been imprisoned for obstruction in a high-profile corruption scandal that fizzled out when the key witness, Becky, died under unexplained circumstances. Carla's request to visit Logan was approved after a week of persistence. She drove to the prison alone, unsure of what she hoped to find. Logan was smug behind the glass partition. He recognized Carla instantly. "Funny," he said. "How many of you are coming to ask about the same girl? Must have been something special, that Becky." Carla tried to keep her voice even. "Just tell me what happened." Logan shrugged. "You think I'm going to spill it all to you? What do I get out of it?" She left with nothing but more questions, her frustration simmering beneath the surface. Outside the prison gates, Carla stood under the gray sky, breathing heavily. Becky's death was more than a shadow. It was a chain binding everyone who had ever cared about her. Back in Weatherfield, Lisa's investigation took a sharp turn. She had accessed Inspector Costello's computer late one night. She hadn't expected much, but what she found left her breathless. Detailed logs about internal corruption. Redacted files. Names she recognized. One of those names, Kit. Kit had always seemed clean-cut, dependable. Lisa trusted him, even leaned on him after Becky died. So why was he accessing Becky's file? Why had he never told her? It didn't make sense. She confronted him in the hallway outside the station. You looked into Becky's case. You never told me. Kit's eyes widened, caught between guilt and professional defensiveness. It was work. I wasn't allowed to involve you. You were too close. Lisa's voice cracked. Too close. She was my wife. You think that makes me biased? Or that I can't handle the truth? Kit didn't answer. That silence was enough. The trust shattered. Lisa walked away with her jaw clenched, a storm building inside her. But what she didn't know was that Carla had seen the entire exchange. Later that night, back at their flat, Carla asked the question Lisa had dreaded. You never went to therapy, did you? Lisa turned her back. I had to follow the evidence. You lied to me. And you lied to me too, Lisa snapped. You went to Logan without telling me. Don't play innocent. Their voices rose. Pain twisted their words. Two women, who had once shared everything, now stood behind walls of suspicion and fear. They had both kept secrets in the name of love, but the cost was proving too great. They slept in silence that night, both aware of the distance between them. Love doesn't vanish in a single moment, but trust, once cracked, is hard to repair. As days passed, Lisa found herself staring at Becky's photo more often. She remembered the laughter, the late-night conversations, the shared dreams. But now, those memories were tainted by unfinished business and broken promises. And Carla. She wandered into her office one morning and found an envelope under her chair. No name, no stamp. Inside was a photocopy of a prison visitation log. Carla wasn't the only one who had visited Logan recently. Another name was there. One she hadn't expected. Suddenly, things clicked into place. The secrets, the silences, the lies. Becky had been silenced not just by circumstance, but by people who were supposed to protect her. And now, both Lisa and Carla were caught in a web that had been woven years before. What they would do with that knowledge, how they would face each other again, remained uncertain. But one thing was clear. The truth was no longer hiding. And neither were they. Lisa stood in the middle of the living room, staring at the wall as if Becky's memory were etched into the plaster itself. She hadn't spoken to Carla in nearly 2 days. The silence between them had stretched unbearably thin, held together by glances and unspoken grief. But the envelope Carla found had reignited her purpose, and shattered any illusion that the betrayal between them was over. Kit's name on the prison visitation log had changed everything. Carla didn't confront Lisa immediately. She needed more. More than a hunch, more than fragmented truths. She reached out to a retired detective, who had once worked on the corruption task force. A man who had always been wary of Kit's fast rise through the ranks. The retired officer agreed to meet in a quiet pub, just outside Weatherfield. What he shared chilled Carla to her core. Kit had connections to a network of officers, who had all been involved in mishandling or covering up key evidence tied to the original corruption investigation. Becky had been working as a civilian liaison at the time, digging into financial records that implicated higher-ups. She was close, too close. And then she was dead. The official cause had always been ruled as an overdose, but according to the detective, that conclusion never sat right. Carla took it all in, heart racing. The more she learned, the clearer it became. Becky had been silenced, and Kit knew far more than he'd ever admitted. Back at the flat, Lisa finally broke her silence. I know about the envelope, she said quietly. I saw you hiding it. Carla didn't deny it. She handed over the document. Lisa's eyes scanned the page slowly, her expression unreadable. He visited Logan 3 times, Carla added. And he never told either of us. He said it was just work, but that doesn't track. Not if he was keeping it from you. Lisa's jaw tightened. She sank into the armchair, exhaustion pouring off her. He said he was protecting me. But I think he was protecting himself. Carla sat opposite her. For a long while, neither spoke. Then, Lisa asked, "Why didn't we trust each other?" Carla hesitated. "I think we thought we were. But maybe we were just protecting ourselves from getting hurt again." Lisa nodded slowly. Her voice was a whisper. "I need to know everything." Together, they made a plan. Carla arranged another visit to Logan. This time, Lisa went with her. Logan, clearly rattled by the unexpected double appearance, leaned back in his chair with a smirk that failed to mask his discomfort. "Thought we'd do this tag team style now." Lisa leaned forward. Her tone was ice. "We're not here to play games. We know Kit came to see you. We know Becky found something she wasn't meant to. Tell us what you told him." Logan's bravado faltered. "You think I'd say anything without leverage?" Carla reached into her bag and pulled out a folder of the detective's notes, along with a statement from another former officer, who was now willing to talk, anonymously. "We have more than leverage. We have evidence. Enough to reopen Becky's case. If you're smart, you'll make sure you're not on the wrong side when this blows open." Logan hesitated. Then he folded. He told them Becky had uncovered falsified expense reports linked to bribery and trafficking funds. She had handed her findings to someone she trusted, Kit. She believed he would escalate it. But instead, he warned the others. Logan didn't know exactly what happened next, but within days, Becky was found dead. The toxicology report was inconsistent, he said. The files vanished. And Kit got promoted. Lisa's hands shook. She stood abruptly and left the room. Carla followed, placing a hand on her shoulder just as they passed through the gates. "You okay?" "I'm going to bring him down. I owe Becky that." Back in Weatherfield, the walls began to close in on Kit. Lisa formally requested to access archived records tied to Becky's case. When she was denied, she used her authority to trigger an internal review. Meanwhile, Carla worked the civilian angle, bringing Becky's story to local journalists under condition of anonymity. The buzz started to build. Rumors circulated. Kit grew visibly agitated at the station, snapping at junior officers, retreating into closed-door meetings. He tried to reach Lisa. She ignored his calls. When he showed up at her flat, Carla answered the door. "She doesn't want to talk to you," Carla said firmly. "This is a mistake," Kit growled. "She's going to ruin her career." Carla stared him down. "No, Kit. She's going to reclaim her life." In the following weeks, an official review board was assembled. Logan's testimony, corroborated by newly surfaced documents, forced them to reopen Becky's file. Kit was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Lisa gave a powerful statement before the board, laying out the full timeline, her personal connection, and the betrayal that had fractured not just her faith in the system, but in herself. After her speech, Lisa stepped outside and found Carla waiting. "You did it," Carla said, pride shining through her tired smile. "We did it," Lisa replied. They stood in silence, letting the moment wash over them. In the weeks that followed, their relationship slowly began to heal. There were no grand declarations, no sweeping reconciliations, just quiet gestures. Tea in the morning. Notes left on the table. Walks without words. They had broken something, but they were beginning to mend it. One evening, Lisa brought home a small framed photo, Becky, laughing at a summer fair, eyes squinting in the sun. She placed it on the mantel. She deserves to be seen. Not just remembered. Carla nodded, her voice soft. She would have been proud of you. Lisa didn't answer. She didn't need to. For the first time in years, the weight on her chest felt a little lighter. Justice was still being fought. The inquiry was ongoing. Kit's future uncertain. But Becky's voice had been heard. And in Weatherfield, that mattered more than anything.